In other news, the future of our planet, our people and the economy at large are intricately linked. We're going to explore how the built environment can help mitigate against the climate crisis as we edge closer to the built environment climate change Indaba that is taking place in KwaZulu-Natal. Dr. Msizi Myeza, the CEO for the Council for the Built Environment, joins us to discuss further. Very good afternoon to you, Dr. Myeza. Thank you for your time with us here on the SABC.
Good afternoon, Lizelle. Thank you for affording us an opportunity.
I think on the back of what is transpiring, perhaps as we edge closer to the Indaba, you could talk to the role of the CBE to date, given the theme as well that will be explored. What will be the focus of the conference, given the critical juncture we find ourselves as a country? We really do need paradigm shifts to assess our attitudes and narratives as we edge closer to creating a sustainable and green economy at large.
No, I think that is correct. I think one can ask a question: why CBE is interested in the climate change discourse? And I think it's a question that we are confronted with not only from general public but also within the profession itself. Some of the colleagues are saying there are more important issues that impact them than climate change. And I think our view, as an entity that falls within Public Works, which is a custodian of public infrastructure, led by Minister Zikalala, we think we cannot be a spectator in a discussion wherein the work that we do impacts society. And as such, through our deliberation with other policymakers that are involved in the space, we had agreed that perhaps it's important for us as professionals convene amongst ourselves and then say, what are the key issues that we can make a contribution to, be it around policy or be it around regulations, be it around the built environment education, or in the manner in which we discuss the climate change in the country, as well as some of the aspects that we take for granted, such as indigenous knowledge. And I think those are some of the issues that actually made us to convene this platform.
No, absolutely. You raised some pertinent themes there. And I think today, to contextualize the issues that the built environment has experienced, perhaps you could speak to that. What are the challenges in a South African context? And at this point, how do we begin to adapt the built environment for climate change then?
Look, I think, Lizelle, if one were to simplify it, because I think we're starting from a baseline that says we must not have this engagement from a fear point of view or offload data that cannot be accessible. Let's simplify the discussion. Now, if you are residing in a coastal area of this country, be it Richards Bay, be it eThekwini, be it Port St. John's, Cape Town, and any other cities, the manner in which you build, it is different than it was before because of the rapid rains that we are experiencing. That's one aspect. Secondly, the cost of construction, because of climate change impact, has actually risen. The third issue, because of rapid rains that you are experiencing in this country, during rainy seasons, you cannot undertake construction work. As such, there are time delays and then cost overruns. And all of those issues, you bring them down to the expenses that are incurred now because of climate change when you want to undertake any construction work. And therefore, we think it is important for us to rethink on how we tackle construction projects in the country, and also maybe even the cycle that we undertake. We might have in the past been able to construct during rainy season because we knew that our rain will stop at a particular point in time. Nowadays, you can't predict the weather. And I think the point that you are advancing is that even the way we construct, we are experiencing extreme heat. Therefore, the manner in which we built in the past might not be relevant, and the kinds of material we use require us to think differently as well. So those are some of the aspects at a high level which we'll be deliberating around together with my colleagues during Indaba.
It's also important to ensure that inclusivity and empowerment of the marginalized communities comes to the fore and, as part of this discourse. And I wonder at this point if you could speak to the importance of, incorporating indigenous knowledge systems into the built environment practice. What is the role of women and representation as well? How are you fostering this?
Look, I think the climate change discussion in general has been elitist in nature. And our starting point was to say, we need to make sure that as much as we are bringing professors, scholars, and expertise that is involved in this discussion, but we need to create space for general public to participate in this discussion. Because before I'm a professional, I'm a resident in a village somewhere. And I think the ability for us to be able to engage with our traditional leadership, with informal settlement dwellers, with rural community dwellers. And I think we are using structures that exist in communities to bring them in. Just to make a case in point, we will be engaging with Abahlali Basenjondo leadership just to make sure that they assist us in mobilizing right stakeholders to be part of this discourse. And not because it's a lip service, but they will have a voice, they will be part of the discussion because we value the contribution they make. And I think some of the aspects that we want to bring to the fore in the built environment, you will find that as a professional, you go to a particular area, you develop a school. But whereas like communities would have told you that that area that you're building a school in, because of the nature of the climate that we're experiencing in our region, might be blown away by extreme winds that will come at a particular point in time. So those are some of the aspects, because the infrastructure we lay out, the beneficiaries of that infrastructure are communities, and they will know better their climatic conditions.
Because so collaborations on all fronts is key. And I wonder how the built environment sector contributes to the Presidential Climate Change Commission at large. I want to incorporate the issue of innovation as well, given the fourth industrial revolution and how that's also incorporated and explored as we edge closer to the Indaba.
Look, Lizelle, I think you would know, I mean, our industry, I mean, I'm talking about the built environment in its totality, hasn't really been adaptive to technology. Yes, there are areas where we're advanced, but in general, we still use pre-modern ways of laying out infrastructure. And I think there is a need for us to rethink on how we use digital technologies to detect infrastructure that needs refurbishment, explore different types of housing typologies. And those are some of the contributions that we want to take, because as a sector, I'm subject to correction. We have not really spoke amongst ourselves and then say we as a sector, this is our contribution into the discourse that's led by the president. And I think that's really why, as a Council for the Built Environment, we saw it fit to convene this engagement with professionals, obviously with other role players, which will then enable us to come up with a solid proposition. And I think perhaps post the conference, our minister can come back and share the resolutions that would have taken at the conference and the submission that we intend to make to the Presidential Commission. And I think we also invited some of the colleagues from the Commission themselves to partake in this deliberation so that they can guide us on how best to package our submission to them.
And the BRICS Summit's obviously also taking place in just a few days' time. So there'll be a lot more opportunities to leverage off of, particularly South Africa chairs the 15th summit as well. But again, I'm going to have to leave the conversation there, but thank you for your time with us on the SABC. Dr. Msizi Myeza is the CEO for the Council for the Built Environment, just chatting to us about the climate crisis we're in and the Built Environment Climate Change Indaba that's also set to take place within the next few days. Looking at the strides that have been taken, but also the challenges that climate change poses and how you can incorporate and collaborate with different role players to achieve the desired outcome of sustainable development and economic growth at large. Again, thanks to Dr. Myeza for his time.